How do you prepare for the ever-evolving Shanahan offense? Last year would suggest you don't. You can try, but most of last season, Coach Shanahan's offense hummed along unstoppable for the majority of the season. New info today suggesting that this new evolution is even better, and I think you're going to be stoked to hear about it. In this video, we are talking offensive packages, personnel groupings, and the leverages the 49ers added this offseason that will make the San Francisco 49ers even harder to scheme against. If you're new here, I'm Nate. We are talking the San Francisco 49ers every day on this channel, so make sure you hit the subscribe button and like this video if you do like it so you don't miss out on all of the action. Make sure you tell the YouTube overlords that you like what we're doing here. Well, the good news is this, and I want to give Kyle Madsen some massive credit from Niners Wire for bringing this to my attention and to all of our attention if you follow Niners Wire, by bringing out some interesting, cool data I'm going to be showing you in a second here related to personnel groupings, packages, how they're used, their efficiency, all of that good stuff. But it shows and points to an exciting direction that the 49ers are moving in and why they're going to be unstoppable again this season. I'm here, by the way, if you can't tell. Oh, you know what? Before that, comment below, by the way, because we're going to get into kind of some secret weapon kind of stuff today. If the 49ers have a secret weapon this season, what is it? Is it a player? Is it a scheme? Let me know in the comments below. What is the secret weapon, if there is one, for the 49ers this season? What is the secret weapon? I've got an answer to that question today in the video, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say about it. But anyway, as I was going to say, I'm here in Michigan. I had to leave Denver and drive for 18 hours to Michigan, or 17 or whatever it is, just to get to this place where I'm in an actual Denver studio with a buttery microphone and a nice camera. My brother-in-law's studio, by the way, Sports Talk Denver. So for those of you that are like me, AFC Broncos, NFC 49ers, you should subscribe to his Broncos channel as one. A couple of you in the comments have mentioned that. But here's the cool, interesting thing that I find absolutely fascinating. Okay, so Sumer Sports put it on the screen for you. Sumer Sports did all of the dirty work here to talk about or point out the personnel groupings that teams are in and the percentages that they're in them. And before we get into anything, and you know, Kyle Madsen did an awesome job on this. I want to make sure I give him lots of shout outs for this, because this was not on my radar until he said this, which was really awesome. But the first thing I want to point out before we go into anything, this is just my observation now, is look at this right here. What does that tell you about the Rams? That they're playing in 11-man very, very often, 93% of the time. Just as a defense, right? Think about what you're scheming for, how you're scheming against the Rams, knowing that 93% of the time, the package looks virtually the same. Obviously, what they can do in that package changes, but there is a limit to the package. Every personnel package has its strengths and weaknesses, and when you're sitting in one, it's a lot less work for the defense to figure out. So I'll take that as a positive for the 49ers. But as you scroll down and you watch this percentage rate, how often they're in that personnel grouping, as you scroll down, you notice, and you get down to the 49ers here, there are two of them really tight, which tells you something about what the 49ers are doing. You're going to notice the similar thing, with the New England Patriots right here. You'll notice something similar with, I want to say, kind of the Dolphins, but now I'm looking and I'm not so sure if that was right or, oh yeah, Dolphins right here. So Dolphins there. Okay. And the 49ers are about as tight, but they're as tight as you could really get. Look at the 49ers. They're at 38% in 11 and 38% in 21. So 2 running backs, 1 tight end. So that's really fascinating to me. That's really fascinating. Just in terms of what the defense has to do when you're going up against teams like the Dolphins and the 49ers, how you're dealing with and scheming for those personnel groupings, knowing, okay, when they're in this personnel, when they're in this package, these are the types of things I like to do. And in this package, these are the things I like to do. And I have to keep both of those things balanced in my head at the same time. Oh, they're in this package. This is probably what they're doing. Well, Kyle Madsen brought this to my attention in a really cool way, how this actually works out really, really well for the 49ers. Here's a breakdown of just the 49ers packages last season, okay? And what Kyle Madsen did was kind of pontificate a little bit about the future evolution of the Shanahan offense. There's always a little bit of a curve to it. It's always kind of shifting just a hair. And that by itself is interesting. And then you think about what we did in the offseason and what that means, it gets even more interesting. So firstly, this is just the 49ers package as a whole, as you can see here, okay? And you've got two setups, 11 and 21, that are kind of most common, all right? And then you see down here, there are two packages that we use for two tight end sets. That's the 12 and the 22, common, okay? And even just the two of them combined isn't even a third of the time. All right. And part of that, if you're totally fair, and I think actually, I wonder if I highlighted it in with use check. No, I didn't. So use check's versatility has allowed the 49ers to run 21 that looks like 12 because their fullback can basically work as another tight end. So they're running in two running backs, one tight end, but use check is playing kind of like a tight end. So it looks a lot like a 12, which is kind of a sneaky move. I like that. But anyway, let's look at how the 49ers compare in some of these packages. So in 11, one running back, one tight end. This is great when you want to get a lot of wide receivers out there. Where are we at? 49ers all the way down at the bottom, right? So crazy. I don't know why I went to hit load more, as if there were more than 32 teams in the NFL. So there you go. Second to last, okay? Then when we are in 21, the 49ers are really high on there because there are less teams out there running in this package. Okay, so two running backs, one, and that's because we have a fullback. So you'd expect that, a stellar fullback, I should say. You'd expect that. And of course, Shanahan tree over here, you got Dolphins up there as well. Then in 12, one running back, two tight ends. I love two tight end sets. I'm a fan. You look down, 49ers are 25th, so like 8th from the bottom. Okay, something like that. I'm not going to worry about doing math on that. Running that only 13% of the time. And then just for comparison's sake, like the highest that teams will do here, the Falcons ran it 41% of the time, which is a pretty good amount. And then finally, almost nobody running a 22, and we were running it. We are second most at 9%. So the question is, how does this all link up with what the 49ers are doing in the offseason? And one of the most important pickups in terms of personnel packages is going to be the man, Logan Thomas. We talked about Logan Thomas. He played as a tight end, former quarterback, drafted as a quarterback, didn't make it as a quarterback, sat as a backup most of the time, then transitioned to tight end. Like a lot of people would say other players should have done I wonder, on the wall right here, I don't know if you can see the Tebow jersey over here. That guy, a lot of people said he should have tried to transition into a tight end role. But whatever the case is, he tried to transition to tight end, was doing that for a few years with the Washington Commanders most recently. And then last season, I want to say had something like 44 catches as a tight end, as a catching tight end. So the 49ers having two then pass catching tight ends, obviously number one, George Kittle, and then Logan Thomas, puts them in an interesting perspective for what they could do in two tight end sets. All right. So here's where I'll get to what Madsen had to say, which I do think is wildly interesting. But non-George Kittle tight ends caught only 4 passes for 44 yards last season on 5 targets. One of those catches and 20 of those yards came in the final game of the year when Kittle didn't play. So if we drop that one out, say drop that one time because Kittle wasn't even on the field, then you're looking at only 3 times when Kittle was a starter that another tight end caught the football. Okay. Great point by Kyle Madsen on that one. So that's something we need to keep in mind. If the evolution is we have another pass catching tight end and we still have other guys out there that we're hoping Cam Latu, for example, is going to be something special someday, that would be nice. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. We could see not only a greater usage of 22 from the 49ers this year, but more passing out of those formations as well, since the versatility given by Kittle, Thomas, fullback Kyle Juszczyk, and running back Christian McCaffrey could ostensibly turn with this run-heavy formation into an empty backfield, 5 wide receiver look, because all of these guys can catch the ball. They thrived throwing out of this formation last season with a second tight end that was a non-factor in the passing game. Now with Thomas, Shanahan will be able to diversify that personnel group and make his play calls less predictable. Huge pickup from the 49ers. We said it at the time. If you watched my video at the time, I was a huge fan of the move to get Logan Thomas in. It just makes us less predictable. As if this offense couldn't be any less predictable. We were running the which one? Which one was it? The 11 man and the 21 man, right? Virtually evenly. Like, talk about unpredictable. Then on top of that, now you take all these weapons into account and you add a second pass catching tight end. That's pretty awesome. Last season, out of a pure 12 personnel, which the 49ers ran at the 8th lowest rate in the NFL, San Francisco actually had a negative EPA/rush, probably in part because teams could load up to stop the run, knowing the other tight end wasn't going to be much of a threat. That's one possibility, right? As to why that wasn't working super well. A negative EPA per rush. Yikes. So add that threat, that catching threat, when you're in 12. You have 2 tight ends on the field, 1 running back. And now all of a sudden, we can run the ball because they have to defend against the second tight end. That's what Kyle Madsen, I believe that's what he's saying. I'll be fair and say I don't want to guarantee anything, but that's what he's saying. So the point is this: what we do in the future of the evolution of Shanahan's offensive schemes with this football team, assuming we have Brandon Ayuk or not, this is still going to be massively useful. I said it last season to buddies and stuff. We weren't on the channel last season, so I couldn't talk to you about it then. But before I started this channel, I said it regularly. I don't feel like the 49ers actually use George Kittle as a passing as a passing threat or a catching threat, receiving threat as often as they could. And that's because the 49ers have so many incredible threats on offense. So there's a world in which, Brandon Ayuk deal doesn't happen. Things go shady. Things get muddy, and we don't have Brandon Ayuk, and we're looking at rookies to come in, and Ricky Pearsall, Jacob Cowing, whatever. We're looking at Juwan Jennings to have a heavier role. Maybe we're looking at Debo to be more of a target, right? In that scenario, you still are in an incredible opportunity on your hands because of these other threats, and to add Logan Thomas in there to mix things up even more and give us more flexibility in the personnel packages, where each of these packages can be evenly strong in terms of their efficiency. I mean, what are you going to do about it? So, hey, if you made it to the end of the video, congratulations. You watched me in a Broncos studio. I'm impressed. Good for you. But I hope that you're feeling as optimistic as I am. Training camp is just around the corner. We have so much to break down, so make sure you're subscribed. If you're watching to this point in the video and you're not subscribed, I don't know what you're doing, man. I don't know what you're doing. Create a YouTube account. I guess you must not have a YouTube account if you're not subscribed and you're still watching at this point. Congratulations, though. You did it. Make the YouTube. Just do it. Give all of your data to Google. Just make it happen, and subscribe and be a part of the conversation. Join the comments. You know what to do. As always, what a time to be alive.